started to take a look at Senate Bill 5 and House Bill 153 to kind of see where they leave the county. I will admit that I have gone through Senate Bill 5, but I have not gone entirely through the budget bill at 3,200 and some odd pages. I've gone, kind of tried to hit as many of the highlights as I can. And so if you have some specific questions, may have to get back to you with some answers. But Senate Bill 5, the problem with both the House Bill and Senate Bill 5 is that they try to do a number of different things. So and how they affect employees depends on what classification the employee has as well. As you guys know, and kind of speaking to the general public as well, really there are potentially 5 classes of public employees. You have classified employees, you have unionized classified employees, or those that are covered by a collective bargaining agreement. You potentially have, then you have potentially unclassified unionized employees, or unclassified employees who are subject to a collective bargaining agreement. I'm not aware that we have anybody that falls into that category in the county, but I don't know all of the appointing authorities to know for sure with regards to that. Then you have unclassified employees and elected officials. The unclassified employees, which I am one of, basically the appointing authorities have the most discretion with regards to them. We are essentially at will, and the county can adjust our wages, our benefits, all of those kind of things, at hours, all those kind of things at any given time, and we are again at will, so we either take it or we don't. And if we don't, then we find new employment, and that's true for the unclassified employees. Classified employees.
How many? Do we have a handle on how many unclassified employees do we have?
I don't know an exact number. I would say it's the minority of employees, because the way public employment is set up is that you are classified unless exempted out of the classified employment by the statute, which sets forth particular individuals. But for example, all assistant prosecutors are unclassified pursuant to statute. Classified employees are kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. Once they are hired in at a particular wage, hours, and with particular benefits. And the ability of a public employer to then change those wages, hours, and benefits is extremely limited. In fact, basically you can't do it. But for certain provisions of law that authorize under certain circumstances your ability to do it. But generally speaking, once you've hired in a classified employee at a particular wage for a particular number of hours with a particular set of benefits, your ability as an appointing authority to modify those is prohibited by law.
No, I just want to remember that for another thought as we go through our, not today, but through our sales tax. In the event the sales tax would not pass, that would have a direct effect if we were to try to change the hours in the county then.
And this is where, kind of in part, these collective bargaining agreements come from, or the ability to collectively bargain, because with a classified employee, if you want to change, the hours of your office, and you have all or predominantly classified employees, essentially you would have to go to each employee and get them to voluntarily agree to change their hours, wages, etc. Where collective bargaining comes in is it says, we're going to allow you to bargain for these things as an appointing authority, and rather than having to negotiate with each individual employee, you can negotiate with a group of individual employees, and that would be the collective bargaining unit. So there are advantages to collective bargaining for appointing authorities as well as for the workers, in terms of now you're negotiating with a group for the terms of the agreement rather than having to negotiate with each individual employee. Practical experience says, that if you want to change the hours, eventually you're going to run into one employee that says, no, I don't want to voluntarily agree to that. Whereas again, if you're negotiating with a group, you've got a little bit more leverage. So there are reasons where, in theory, a collective bargaining agreement can help an appointing authority as well as helping the workers. And then you have the elected officials whose, compensation and so forth is typically set by statute.